We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Hey, welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the POMcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now. All right. Good morning. This is a nice Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, the chat is open. Even though you can't see it, I can. So if you want to type in, go into the show, do that. Basically, chat on your live stream. It'll show up on mine as well, no matter if you're on Facebook, Twitch, no matter which one you're doing on. So thank you very much for joining us. Before we get started today, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. That's 1-800-330-7461. Again, that's 1-800-330-7461. Basically, what I wanted to do is we're 18 months into this at this point. Everybody needs a vacation. Florida is a vacation location. But all the different businesses might have different rules as opposed to the pandemic going on around themselves. They will have a boot on the ground, and you can use that resource to find out what's going on to pick out your perfect vacation. Whether it's the beach, the parks, the other attractions, you can do that. That's 1-800-330-7461. See Central Florida like a local. Travelandcruiseworld.com. Also, go to bookatailgate.com. Season's going along fine. They can hook you up. Basically, they can store your tailgating stuff. They set you up. They can rent you what you need. They can get you another 10 if your crowd is bigger than you were expecting. They can put a TV in there. They can even pick up your catering. So give them a look at bookatailgate.com. That's 662-701-1177. Down below, you can see all the podcasts that we are on. If you could do us a favor, leave us a review. Make sure it's 5-star. You can say whatever you want, but just make sure it's 5-star. You can look us up on all of your podcatchers at Positively Ole Miss. And if you're interested in watching the show, you can catch us on Twitter at @TheStephenWillis or at Ole Positively. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast. On YouTube, we're at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe and hit the bell. This is bar none the best notification system out there. Even if you're not watching on YouTube, the notification system will help you out. So hit the bell, get all notifications every time we go live. You'll know not only that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. I highly recommend it. I've got several people that do this and then watch on another platform we have. I think we're up to 9 or 10 at this point. Different platforms. It's pretty cool, and we're starting to echo shows like SEC After Dark. That's the other thing that we're doing that's pretty cool as well. Also, you can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. And I think that's it. Yeah, we get through all this stuff pretty quick. So today's show is a Know Thy Enemy show. We're going to start talking about Tennessee and all the challenges that they can present. We have some presser highlights that I have not loaded up, so that's interesting. Great. And we're going to talk about whether or not you can trust the media. What I'm doing right now is I'm getting it loaded up, so give me just a second. Whether or not you can trust the media. And that's a sad thought that we've gotten here, but we had another thing go down yesterday that kind of put us in that same boat again. Like, well, can we trust them at all? And it's really sad, but it's one of those is what it is type situations. And yeah, there we go. Yeah. So we have pressure highlights that we're going to get to and talk about the interview of the players, Lane Kiffin, AJ Finley, and Henry Parrish Jr. met the media the other day and talked about what's going on. Lane Kiffin mentioned that there's not a scheme problem in this defense. There is a tackling problem. There is a talent problem, but there's not a scheme problem. So keep that in mind. That's the reason we're recruiting these hybrid type players. You're starting to see us recruit DBs that are 6'3", 220. It's so they can play as a box safety and kind of be an outside linebacker / be a true defensive back. And they'll be able to run. So that's the reason we're recruiting those guys. Hey, Guy, how you doing? I'm going to talk about that. That was an extremely bad look, and if Ole Miss does not sign that kid, it may be the death of the spirit. Love Chuck, love everything he's done for Ole Miss football, but that is the credibility killer that you might not be able to come back from. If that kid goes to any other school besides Ole Miss, and Yancey has messed that up, because I honestly thought maybe there was a chance that kid might flip. But this is just a sad portion. And also, just to be real, and everything's going on, his apology. Are you not really, you really farming it out to a stringer to call a Rivals 100 or top 100 quarterback after an official visit, an Elite 11? You think we really farm that out to a stringer? If so, what are you doing? You know, it's a horrible look. It's an absolute horrible look. But let's do a little bit of Know Thy Enemy real quick. We start off with the Tennessee Volunteers. Their leading rusher is Tyon Evans. He is good. He is a good running back. I enjoy watching him play. He's got several long runs this year. He's ran 73 times for 482 yards through 5 or 6 games. I forget what they are. There might be 6 at this point. Yeah, I think they're 4-2. So through 6 games, he's averaging about 85 yards a game. They're wanting to get Jabari Small back. He's 44 carries for 231. Everybody's familiar with Jabari around the Ole Miss beat. And Hendon Hooker is actually second on the team in rushing with 66 carries and 281. So this team is a little bit different than the Josh Heupel team that coach teams at Central Florida. They're running the quarterback. They're doing that. Hendon Hooker is not KJ Jefferson. Understand that. He's a better thrower, but he's not as good of a runner. And we genuinely need, on defense, Jake Springer to come back. We also need Tysheem Johnson to step up just a little bit. He's playing very well, but as he flashes and it moves on through the season, he's going to get better and better and better. But those are the 2 main box safeties. Also, when Jake Springer comes back, you might see Otis Reese end up with more of a box safety role. He's kind of playing the robber role in the middle of the 2 deep safeties at the moment. But it's a good player. Passing the ball, they have thrown it 27 times a game. They're completing 62% of their passes. They throw for 220. They run probably 67 to 70% of the time at the moment. They run the ball. They struggle throwing the deep pass. Hendon Hookers can hit some, but he's not effective. We're basically, the team Tennessee is what Ole Miss was last year without Elijah Moore. I mean that's basically the count of it. This is what Ole Miss was last year without Elijah Moore. Now, they have a better defense at the time being, but ask Indiana, for instance, what that looks like and what we can do with this offense. So we have to be careful. And drop 8 causes troubles for quarterbacks that don't the first time they see it. Now, as they see it, they get a little bit better. This is one of those situations where it's an advantage that college sports is a short turnaround business, is the drop 8. Because the more you see it, the better you're going to get. And the more time you have to expose flaws, the more you can. Their leading receiver is Velus Jones. I think that's the USC transfer. He's averaging 15 a catch, 3 touchdowns. Javonte Payton of Mississippi State fame is a receiver up there as well. He's got 4 touchdowns. On defense, I think they're out their middle linebacker for the rest of the year. The pretty big gut punch for him. Alante Taylor is kind of on the Matt Corral isn't so special train. Whatever. The leader on the team, they have a lot of tackles for loss. Not many turnovers. They do have a player with 2 fumble recoveries, and they do have a player that they've intercepted the ball like 7 times. So it's about a little over 1 a game they're averaging. So I'm impressed. Brandon Turnage was SEC Player of the Week. Everybody might be familiar with him. He played at Lafayette County. And that's about it for them. To put that in perspective, like I said, their run-pass ratio is about 67% to 33%. If you look at Ole Miss averages throwing the ball 30 times a game and averages running the ball 45 times a game. So Ole Miss is averaging 75 plays a game, 30 which is pass. So it's about 60-40 at this point. And that's with a generational special quarterback that is Matt Corral. If he keeps going the way he's going, right now he's playing better than any quarterback has played at Ole Miss. Period. It's not even close. Everybody jokes about Mannings and all this, that Matt Corral is playing better than any other quarterback that has gone through Ole Miss. If he makes it to the end of the year, and this keeps up to the end of the year, he has a chance to leave here the greatest of all time. Period. It's not close. It's not hyperbole. It's not anything like that. It's just based off results, because what we're witnessing is a very special player who is actually second on our team in rushing at 255 yards. The leader is Henry Parrish Jr. at 332, Snoop Connors at 247, Jerry and Ely at 200. 4 running backs over 200 yards. It's fascinating. We're running for about 250 yards a game, and that run game is going to be very important going into this Tennessee game. It just is. It's going to be very important. People are starting to see that everything we do in the pass game is predicated by what we can do in the run game. So teams are going to try and take away our run, as they should. They're going to try and do the Alabama formula. The problem is other teams can't really do the Alabama formula because they are so scared of being beat over the top. So scared, and they should be, against this team, what we're doing. Because this whole thing is predicated about getting them to inch up. Come on, cover the run, cover the run, cover the run. Because if you don't, we will run all over you. And we will do it all day. And we ended up, right now, I think we're running for, let's see, how much are we running? 260 yards a game. Absolutely absurd. Throwing the ball for 302. Matt Corral's throwing for like 299 a game. So Matt Corral is as good as he's been. They don't have to throw the ball because of our stable backs. But it will be important in this Tennessee game that we establish the ground game. If we can run the football, they can't stop us. And it turns into a shootout. At worst. Might turn into a blowout. But if we can run the ball, the offense just completely opens up. Now, Tennessee does some things that are a little bit different on the defense side of the ball. They're an explosive defense. They are somebody that wants to try and make big plays and get the ball back to the offense. That's what they do defensively. They're not overly great on the defensive side of the ball. Most of the difference makers transferred out last year, like Henry To'oTo'o. But they are still a good defense, and they play a very disruptive style. So if we can run the football like we've done all year, hopefully Jerry and Ely's back, it's going to open up the passing game, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a team deteriorate the way we made Arkansas at the end of the game Saturday. That was all about players trying to do more than their responsibility. Because if you're trying to do your teammates' responsibility too, you're not doing yours, and that opens up 2 gaps instead of 1. So people need to do their job, and that is it. Yes, Tim. Tim Sim nicely said, Corral's rushing ability has surprised me. More scrambling, but it works. Yeah, they don't do any like standard quarterback runs, but his running ability has really taken off. I think he's got 8 touchdowns, which leads the Southeastern Conference this season. So we're going to move on and do the press conference highlights. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll discuss whether or not you can trust the media. But here's Lane Kiffin, AJ Finley, and Henry Parrish.
Okay, back to work. In reviewing the game, really good finish in the last play, playing with great effort on the 2-point play. I kind of probably saw some of my frustration in the post-game, interview. Just, that was an accumulation of the second half, how we played on defense, and, it felt so much progress, in the off-season, spring, fall, through a number of games. And that second half kind of had that same feeling as a year ago. So, that's maybe why it wasn't as great as feeling, as maybe you expected. But, we can't overlook, because one play at the end of the game goes your way that we see all the time, last second field goal goes in or out, and all of a sudden one team's figured everything out and program's on the rise, and the other team, doesn't know how to win. So we got a lot of work to do. And getting ready for a challenging place to play. That someone said on the way in, is on schedule to be their first sellout in years. So very loud place, especially at night, and a team that's playing extremely well. 2 conference blowouts in a row, and lighting up on offense. So this is going to be extremely challenging.
Yes. With as far as the details, got to clean up a little more stuff. But as far as, I feel like I did okay.
I wouldn't say it's difficult, but I think it's more of a mindset thing to finish the game out. If you know you got to go 90-something snaps, you just got to go into the game expecting that. Not really expecting that, but you just got to give it all to your team, finish it out.
Well, that it was not good. A lot of guys played in the 70s. And some 80s, which is not good no matter what, especially against the tempo. And when you're on tempo, so there's not a lot of delay between series. And we were a little bit big little after the, first couple of drives of the game, on some quick scores. So, we got to play more guys. Guys have to give us confidence that, when they play well, because we wore down, and, that was evident.
It's great. Like I said, the motto is score from far. So, we make big plays and just got to make it go. Just keep working and keep pushing forward.
I feel like tackling was a big thing because they had some pretty big guys, of course. And getting those guys to the ground, they were falling forward a lot. We got to stop the guys from falling forward and getting them to the ground when we make first contact. That'll be a big thing for us.
Well, yeah, I think the effort on the last play, on the 2-point play was really good, and we played the play right. Same play earlier that, they'd scored on, and we'd let a guy go. I'm supposed to cover you, and I don't. So that was good. But, I felt like during the game and watching it, it was what we do on the other side, and what their system does with Kendall Browse. A lot of first downs, 37 first downs or something, and not getting off the field. And then with that tempo, guys wear down, and guys do not look the same later in the game on defense as they did early. And I think that happened on both sides. But so there's 2 keys to play. One's to play more players, but the most important one, get off the field on 3rd and 4th down, and then those drives don't keep going. Well, he's very physical, great mentality about himself, which I think carries off onto other guys. And when he hasn't played, we've had to move people instead of just 1-for-1, move where people played. So we have people playing, like Otis is playing a different position than he usually plays. So that's been an issue.
There you go. That's Lane Kiffin talking about a little bit of what's been going on the defensive side of the ball. He talks about the players having to be shifted around because of the injury to Jake Springer. This has been going on since the Louisville game. So after the Louisville game, they were kind of duct taping it together anyway, and you end up with box safeties of Keydron Smith and Tysheem Johnson, and they're great. They've done a fine job this season, but you look at Keydron Smith as a former cornerback. You look at Tysheem Johnson as a great player, but a young player. So there's going to be some growing pains. It was supposed to be Tysheem on one side, Jake Springer on the other, or move Otis Reese down and let him play box safety as well. So it affects the way you play whenever you start moving and shifting people around. So just keep an eye on that and what is going on the defense side of the ball. Because if you can get Jake Springer back and Tysheem Johnson, maybe move Otis Reese down to where outside on both sides of the line of scrimmage is Otis Reese and Jake Springer, or Otis Reese and Tysheem Johnson, it allows some things. Moving Otis Reese out of the box hurts us in run coverage. Period. Yeah, I mean, it just really does. And him as the seventh guy in the box that kind of plays behind the linebackers, Jake Springer or whatever, that's where Otis Reese is playing now. But you want Otis Reese down by the line of scrimmage. He takes a 3.26 and makes it a 3.35, as physical as he is. I hope people understand that. The idea behind this defense is to slow down spread offenses, but you need somebody that has the physicality to stop the run from the box safeties. The most important players on this defense are box safeties. The ones that play down near the line of scrimmage. What would be, if it was a truly 3-4, the outside linebackers. Because that's what they're playing in this system. So you have to be able to do the things that the outside linebacker needs to do. It's not all about pass coverage, because they can all do that. They're super safeties. But in the run game, those outside linebackers, replacing those. These box safeties, replace them. Remember that. This is essentially a 3-4 defense. The only difference is the 250-pound outside linebackers that Ole Miss was playing with are now being played by 220, 210-pound defensive backs. So you have to stand up to the pounding, do whatever has to be done. And they've done an admirable job, but people are going to copycat what Arkansas did. People are going to copycat what Alabama did. So we really need to stand up. If we stop it, it's not even really that much of a problem, because they'll move on to something else. Somebody else will find something else that will work, and they'll copycat that. But right now, we need to work on stopping the run. So I'm pretty excited about that. Let's see. Saturday at 6:30 Central, SEC Network, Jordan Rogers, Tom Hart, Cole Kublik, SEC at night. It should be a lot of fun. Also, I hope Tennessee just keeps their helmets they wore last week. Their helmets last week looked really good. Tennessee may have accidentally stumbled into that, but those helmets looked really good, and they should almost be the standard of their uniforms. No matter what they do, just do the black face mask with the black trim on there. And put the black trims back on the numbers, the Peyton Manning area. It just looked better. But that should be Tennessee's go-to. So, pretty impressed with that. So, I'm looking forward to that. That has been Know Thy Enemy and Presser highlights. And now we're going to shift into, in just a second, to Can You Trust the Media? But do me a favor, and like I said, rate and review it, like it. Retweet it, share it. We're on like 15 things at the moment every day anyway. We're everywhere. We're trying to just get content into whatever people do. We're not trying to bring you to us. We're trying to go to you. So we're on all kinds of content. We're on all kinds of Facebook groups, all things like that. So like us, share us, do whatever you can. Expand the audience. Evangelize us a little bit. Tell people how much you enjoy it. Let them know. Shoot them a link of what's going on so they can see for themselves. So if you do that, we will be in good shape moving forward. I really enjoy doing this. I like doing this. I'm trying to set up a live stream on Thursday with Kyler Kerbyson of Tennessee. I set one up today with Are You Serious Sports and for LSU for next Thursday. We're going to talk to him for about 15 or 20 minutes. It'll be on live stream, but it'll be a shorter live stream. But he can only do 20 minutes at a time. So we have that, and I mean it should be a lot of fun. But we're trying to set up the schedule today. We are recruiting. We are recording with Bill Flowers. We're going to do our Talking Ball segment today. And we also are going to do our Biscuits and SEC preview. Those might air Thursday and Friday. If you want to see them early, they are available on our Patreon. So that is an idea for that. And also you can catch us, let's see, that preview available. That'll be available pretty much immediately. So Thursday night forward into the weekend that we talk what's going on. Guy says we still are recruiting classes we're still 2 recruiting classes from a better defense, and we probably will make some coaches changes at the end of the year also, in my humble opinion. I do not think we're going to make coaching changes. This 3-2-6 that we're running, everybody's doing, you have to commit to it. There's no half in for this defense. So players that are recruited for other schemes, it's going to take a while for fitting this one. So if you let this one sit, it has a chance to get better and better and better. Because eventually you're going to have guys like Tywan Malone playing on the outside instead of Sam Williams. And now I like Sam Williams. Sam Williams is 250 pounds. Tywan Malone's 290. They both are probably equally gifted in pass rush. So on the defensive line, them recruiting that. In the middle, KD Hill is going to be replaced by, I can't remember his name, Xavier something. Sorry about that. Brain surgery moment. Out of Germantown. He's 6'8", 340 pounds. So it's going to change the way our defense looks. I just don't think people need to be worried about what's going on. People going game to game in their fandom are going to struggle with this defense because the fact that we made this change. Lane's always unhappy with the progress of the D. Lane will always be that way because they're supposed to be better. And they are better. Because we talked about this season, if we could be 80 to 100 instead of 130, that's a win. That's what they're on track for. So, yeah. And also, this offense is not very defense friendly. It does not protect the defense at all. If we go tempo like we always do, it's going to hang the defense out to dry from time to time. So it's going to be tough to play on that side of the ball. That's the reason we told you before the season started that we really needed 22. We're probably at 16. We had some injuries. Now we're probably at about 12. So there's guys playing too many snaps. But they want to get to where it's 22 players. You can just line shift them in and out because that's what's necessary, and you can handle the play volume that you're going to ask them to do. All right. Yesterday, everybody probably undoubtedly heard what happened with Yancey. With him, I don't know how to put it, really. Making defense used to win championships, guy. Offense wins them now. If defense won championships, Georgia would have 3 in the last 5 years. So I don't know how to put what happened yesterday. There's a conflicting story. One story is that Yancey completely just made up quotes, which is a cardinal error, cardinal sin. If you want to pretend to be a reporter, if you want to pretend to be some sort of a journalist, then you can't make up quotes. Period. That's a credibility killer. Now, some people didn't have credibility with Yancey didn't have credibility with to begin with, but after tomorrow or after this went down, even more have left the inn. Now, like I said, I am a big fan of Chuck Rounsaville and what he's done for Ole Miss since the early 80s. He was doing his thing and actually was active whenever I was at Ole Miss. He was always very nice to me. I think he even did a story on me at one point. But this doesn't make sense. The reason of what happened doesn't make sense. The fact that Yancey would say he did not interview him, that he was relying on a stringer, and that doesn't make sense whenever you have an official visit quarterback who is a top 100 Elite 11 player getting that information. Who are you talking to that was more important than that? That doesn't seem planned. It doesn't seem to jive. Not saying it didn't. Not saying it wasn't going on, but that doesn't seem to jive. My feeling is that if that kid signs with any other school than Ole Miss, anywhere, for any reason whatsoever at this point, that is the end of the Ole Miss Spirit. You already had an aging clientele on that side of the board that's been with Chuck for 25 years at this point. And now this happens, and with yeah, it's a bad thing. I don't think so, guy. Last year, they won because of the offense, Steve Sarkisian. Their defense wasn't very good last year. So, I think, actually, Guy, you bring up a good point. I think we're in the age of the homers. But we're in the age of the homers like me that do fanalist type stuff instead of somebody that pretends to be a journalist, because if you don't want to be a homer, you're going to be biased the other way because you're trying to prevent your true feelings from coming out, or you're biased for money. Everybody is biased that covers this industry. If they claim they're not, they're lying to you. Everybody's biased. It's one of the reasons I left the media. I completely got out of it. It's one of the reasons I do not subscribe to a single board out there anymore. I used to really enjoy it and spent all my time and did all that stuff. Just enjoy it. Now I am just enjoying doing this and watching the games and going to Disney. That's what I do. Everything else, the games at telephone that they do with that you'll see from time to time, and people will just make up stuff. The games of telephone and the rumors game is a huge problem right now. And nobody is holding them to account. Nobody's holding them to account. And that's the reason I got out of the media. It's the reason I left. I had 20 years in at that point. But it just got to the point where it just shifted so much to where it just doesn't matter. So, Guy, I appreciate it. Yeah, I absolutely have all of them and have fun doing them. But I'm just talking about from my perspective and what's going on. But we're going to get out of here in just a second. We've actually gone a little bit long. But I do believe that if he signs with any other player, any other place but Ole Miss, that is the death of the Ole Miss Spirit. A 40-year company that is really propped up Ole Miss. Because I do not believe Chuck is going to fire Yancey. If Chuck would fire Yancey, all of this would be moot. But the Spirit's going to start to take blame and shoulder the blame for what happened by keeping Yancey around. It is what it is. It's one of those things. But don't fall into rumors. Don't fall into all of that stuff. Be careful what's going on and just enjoy the games and have a lot of fun. I try to tell you every day what's going on inside the program from a perspective of somebody who has actually been inside those walls, had an office at the Manning Center, and not get in too much to rumors. I'll say it over and over again. If there's something to talk about, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But I'm not going to try and race to invent a story. To do that, some kind of rumors game, especially with this, that is one of those things like a kid's on a visit and you're writing a story about it. The story really doesn't matter because signing day is 6 months away. Anyway, hotty toddy, brother. See you tomorrow, Guy. Tonight, Best of the West. Jake's going to be, I'm sure, talking about Texas A&M and Alabama. That should be fun to tune into. And I am rooting for them to lose another game the rest of the weeks of the season. I'll be rooting for the other team pretty hard. So I want everybody to have a good time. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you have any questions, anything's going on, hit me up. And, the chat's always open. We have a live stream every day with the POMcast. We're on there, Beast of the East, Best of the West, and SEC After Dark. And we do our preview live stream that we're trying to get set up this week with Kyler Kirbyson. So, anyway, stick around, or I guess stay tuned, whatever. But we'll see you a little bit later. Hotty toddy.